on Google Meet as well. All right, good evening, everyone on Facebook, on YouTube, and everywhere. Good evening to people on Google Meet as well. Welcome to our Healthy Thursday session. And today we have Prof. Sam Kia, who is going to take us through assertiveness and emotional intelligence. Two topics that are very, very critical for self-growth, for self-awareness, and for everything, everything else that's important in life. Welcome, Prof. And we'll give over to you to start your presentation. Not sure if it's network. Prof, can you hear me? Darius, can you hear Prof? I'm not sure what's happening. I think it's his network.
I can't hear him.
Okay, I'm gonna remove him and then add him back again. Oh, there he is. Perfect. Prof, we lost you for a minute there. Can you hear us? There's a big delay in response. Prof, can you hear us?
I don't know exactly what happened. Are you able to hear me now?
I can hear you now, but the network, my goodness. I can see you now. Can you hear us?
Sia, can you be able to hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Is the problem the network? Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. We can start then with the presentation.
I don't know. I hear you, then you get lost. So I'm not so sure. Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes. The network is a bit unstable, but now it's fine.
Hello?
Prof, I can hear you.
Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Darius, it seems like we are going to have a big problem with network for Prof. Are you able to advise him to rather join on Google Meet?
Okay.
Then we try there, and it just means that people that are on Facebook will just be hearing his voice and not seeing his face.
Hello?
Hi, Prof. We are going to try and... Yes, I can hear you, but you keep on disappearing. We're going to try and connect you to Google Meet. Then you can present from there.
Okay, let me also try to use a different network. I was using my Wi-Fi. Let me try and see whether maybe that's the problem, whether there's a problem there. Let me see.
Okay, let's try that before we transfer you. We try transferring you to another platform.
Yeah, let me try that.
Okay. Hello, Okello and Chilala, and welcome.
Hello.
We will start soon. We're just trying to sort Prof's network.
Hello, Sia?
Yes, yes, Prof.
Hello.
Hi. Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, hello.
Hi. Are you able to hear me? Prof?
Hello, hello. Yeah.
Hi, Prof. Are you not able to hear me? Prof, if you're able to hear me, you can just unmute yourself. Yes.
Yeah. Do you think now, I hope now this is more stable?
It's much,
Are you able to hear
much
me?
better. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
all right, you can start.
Okay.
You can start with your presentation, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you who are following us right here now. My name is Sam Kuria. I'm a professional counseling psychologist. I'm from Uganda, and I'm very happy to be with you. It's been a while since the last time I interfaced with you and interacted with you, until Darius asked me to go ahead and look at an area that is very, very important in as far as I'm concerned in terms of our success in life. And this has to deal with our emotional intelligence, but also has to deal with the assertiveness that we need, or the assertiveness skills. So we are going to try to see how we can bring this up. Now, when you look at emotional intelligence, it's looked at as the ability to perceive, to interpret, to demonstrate, to control, and to use our emotions in such a way that we are able to communicate within ourselves and with others. In other words, when you look at the aspect of the emotional intelligence, you go ahead and look at the aspect of understanding those particular emotions that exist within yourself, or that exist within myself, and to be able to also look at the emotions that are existing within other people. So the most important part about looking at emotions is that many times people tend to think, especially when we talk about the negative emotions, that they are negative. But the truth of the matter, emotions, whether positive or negative, are very, very important and very necessary part of our lives. And so the whole problem is that many of us cannot be able to understand that these particular emotions are existing within myself at a particular time. And use the knowledge that now that I have known that this particular emotion within me, whether negative or positive, is existing, look at it in terms of how does it affect me and how does it affect the other people that I am going to relate with. And so the ability to understand the emotions within myself as an individual, the ability for you to understand the emotions within yourself, it goes a long way to help you to know how to relate within yourself, with yourself, and also to relate with others. But further than that, the ability to go ahead and perceive the emotions, like now Sia is here and she's my host, to perceive the emotions in her, and not only perceive them, but to understand them to the extent that I can really give them meaning, I can give them the correct interpretation, is a very good predictor in my ability to relate with her here, to relate with Sia here. And my ability not only to understand, but to understand that these emotions, when they are within me, especially those that are either positive or negative, can cause issues to myself or to the other person, brings about the concept of me being able to control and to regulate them. If I, for example, let me be more practical, if I realize that one of the big emotions within me are negative emotions like anger, and I realize, like people say, that I have a short fuse, or I realize I speak without taking time to think things through. I speak emotionally and I react emotionally to situations. That understanding will not be useful to me until I can come up to the understanding also that I need to control that emotion and I need to regulate it. I do not need to suppress it, and this is where people go wrong. People tend to think that when we have these emotions within ourselves, especially the negative emotions, we should go ahead and suppress them and not express them. And when we do that, we are not being real to ourselves. We are being very artificial, and we are going to develop all sorts of issues and challenges within ourselves
Have we lost Prof? Prof? Okay.
Okay.
You're back.
It is important. It's important, therefore, that my ability to understand myself and understand others goes a long way with how my perceptions are now. There are all sorts of wrong perceptions that are out there. For example, if I come in and I meet a young lady like Sia here, and I greet her and she greets me back with a smile, and I may perceive that to mean that she is excited and very happy to see me. And so my perception and my interpretation of her emotions could be off. And if they're off, I am going to get a lot of problems in terms of how I relate with her and how I deal with her, because I came off with a wrong perception, which gave me a wrong interpretation of her emotion. So this is why emotional intelligence is a very important aspect of psychology that a little bit earlier on people had not paid a lot of attention to it, and they had paid a lot more attention to intelligence quotient and not attention to the emotional intelligence. Why? Because if I see an emotion in someone and my perception of it is distorted, I may perceive you to be very angry at me when actually you are not angry, but you are frustrated with me. And I need to be able to come up to understand that the emotion she's going through now, is it of anger? Is it of disappointment? Is it of frustration? And somebody who is disappointed at me, I may perceive it and go ahead and interpret it as she's angry at me, and that will cause problems to me in terms of how I relate to her. So it is a very important aspect that the emotional intelligence goes a long way to help me to understanding the emotions in me, but further than that, to understand the emotions in the other persons that I'm relating with. Now that I have gone ahead, let us assume I have gone ahead and I have understood. Let me begin with, I have understood that this emotion within me is a powerful negative emotion. For example, somebody is talking to me and I am going to have issues of displacement to him or to her, which is not their fault. I came off with my anger from other sources, and I did not project that anger to the right intended target. And I meet another innocent bystander, and I'm going to have all this anger directed to her. But if I have high emotional intelligence, I need to realize quite quickly that I am very angry right now. And so if I am angry and I'm going to be communicating with Sia here, for example, let us assume she's my girlfriend or she's my wife. But I realize I came from work, either through the traffic jam or through work. My anger is really at the peak position. How does the emotional intelligence help me? And I'm going to bring it in to tie it in with also assertiveness. Here, I'm going to try to bring it in and put it all together. How does my realization that I am very angry right now help me to be able to regulate, control, and communicate effectively with Sia here? I am going to realize that in the state of mind and with the negative emotion that I am experiencing, I am going to have a lot of displacement issues to somebody who is totally innocent and who does not deserve to be at the receiving end of my anger. And because of that, I need, therefore, to come up to control my emotion and to regulate it and to realize that if she has something she's asking me, which may in normal circumstances be a simple question, which may be in normal circumstances something that should not make me so angry, I am going to react angrily to her, and I will cause more problems. And so I am going to communicate to her and tell her, you know what? Right now, I am not really in the right mood. And I feel that if I talk to you and I try to answer you, the anger that I'm having, which is not yours, that you are the one who has caused it, will cause me to speak things and speak them in ways that will bring a problem to both of us in this relationship. So I am asking you, please, can you give me a little bit of time? I will get time and respond to you appropriately about what you have raised right now. At such a time, I have been able to look at my negative emotion. And because of my high emotional quotient, have been able to realize that I should not communicate, because if I communicate, I will not be effective in my communication. I will communicate with anger to a person who doesn't deserve my anger.
Yeah.
Hello?
Very, very.
Okay, I don't know whether the rest that are following, I hope that the rest are following. That's where...
Yes, they are following. And there are some questions that are coming through, but please go ahead. We'll ask the questions at the end.
That is very, very important. Now, that is understanding me. That is understanding me that if I experience a positive emotion like happiness, and I go to a fundraising occasion and I'm extremely happy, I need to recognize also that this positive emotion can color my ability to relate well on this fundraising community, and I'm going to be not so I'm going to deal with that situation emotionally and not rationally. And so when they're asking me, I will donate what I can't even afford, and I will be giving out promises of things that will cause me a lot of distress in the future, because I was reacting to a positive emotion of happiness, and I acted on the impulse of my happiness, and I went ahead and promised things that I will not be able, when I'm more sober, to be able to relate to. So I am using those two examples to look at myself, the negative and the positive. If I'm sad, if I'm angry, if I am fearful, how does that understanding of that emotion in me help me to deal with the situation out there, dealing with other people? How does the positive emotion in me, like happiness and euphoria, and I've got all this, how does that cause me? You will notice that a lot of young ladies, for example, are in serious troubles sexually because of the positive emotion of high levels of excitement and happiness of the mood and the moment. And so they don't take time to look at that emotion and say, I am reacting with this emotion, I'm sleeping with this guy because of this particular emotion I'm having, that I love him so much, and I've not taken time to look at it positively and evaluate it and evaluate what it will do. So that is the aspect of regulating myself and controlling myself and my emotion, because I have been able to identify and analyze it very well and interpret it well and realize the kinds of challenges it will cause me. Now, I want to quickly move on to the other side of noticing the emotion in others. A certain person who has high emotional quotient or high emotional intelligence has a very very interesting way of looking at the other people and ability to discern the kinds of emotions that they are going through. That discernment is very important in the correct perception and in the correct interpretation of the emotions. As a professional and as a practicing psychotherapist, I deal with a lot of young men who and young women who have had a lot of breakups and who are going through a lot of heartbreaks because they did not perceive well the particular emotions in the person that they were thinking they were falling in love with. The person was well brought up and was well bred and is a very good person. And so they, when you talk to them, they smile, they give you the positive vibes. Let me use that word, positive vibes. And you kind of think that they are in love with you, yet they are simply being polite. Partly because you did not perceive and interpret the emotion in them that this person is simply being polite. It's not that they have also fallen for me and have landed in love with me. Now, because of that, you are going to do things that will cause you a lot of pain and not realize that probably I am on the wrong tangent right here. There are so many issues where people can show you really that I think this is the end of our journey. We've been moving together, but I think we should call it quits. But you go ahead and you don't perceive it correctly, and you are setting yourself up for a real bad heartbreak. So that issue is very, very important. When you are when you have strong emotional intelligence, you will realize that you'll be able to understand your personal strengths, and you'll also understand your personal weaknesses. You will realize that I sometimes react emotionally to situations. I am so emotional, and my feelings get in the way of how I communicate. My feelings get in the way of how I understand other people, and I get hurt by that. Now, that one is very, very important also in raising up your self-confidence ratios within you and your ability to accept if you have made mistakes and to let go. Now, I want to talk a little bit here that you need, therefore, to not only know your emotions and emotions in others, you need to learn how to control those emotions and how to regulate those emotions. Because we are not saying do not express the emotions. We are saying regulate and control. If you lose sight of regulating, if I can't regulate my anger and I can't control my anger outbursts, I will end up one of these days getting into serious trouble with people and maybe committing crimes that I would not have committed if I could do, if I had done that. If I could learn a lot more about other people and not take them at the face value of my perception. I always ask myself as a psychologist, what is it that I am not seeing? When somebody is showing me some face or some feeling, some emotion, I go an extra mile. I say, what is it that is not the obvious, but it's there that I'm not seeing? Am I excited, and because of my excitement, it is causing me problems? So let's come back now a little bit to assertiveness, because I know that there will be questions that people would want to ask, and I would want to leave enough time for that. Now, when we are being assertive, we also realize that there are usually two extreme aspects or extreme ends. And some people are very aggressive in nature, and some people are not aggressive, but they are very submissive also. And so when you find the two extremes, the aggressive person, in the way they will communicate and in the way they will do their things, they have to always have things go their way. They always communicate in a way that everything must go their way. They are the right ones, and everybody must dance to their tune. And that is also a dangerous thing when you are living and relating with people, because you think that everything must go your way. But on the other extreme end, you have people who are so submissive that whatever they are subjected to, they give in, because they don't want, or they think that by giving in, I'll not hurt the other person. I don't want to hurt that person. I don't want that person to think I am such a bad person. I refuse this, or I accepted this. So they always give in, and so they are always submissive. Assertiveness brings in a balance whereby you are going to have that ability to communicate, and communicate effectively with the people that you need to relate with. Communicate your feelings, communicate your thoughts, but communicate in such a way that you are understood, but you don't come off that you are aggressive. And so it is a very important aspect, especially to people who don't have a no, whose ability is that they can, every request that is made of them, they have to accept it. And those who have also challenges that they cannot express their emotions and they cannot express their feelings. So assertiveness comes in to bring in that balance, that if I have a particular emotion, if I am angry, I need to first of all have the emotional intelligence to realize I am angry. But if I am angry, how do I communicate assertively my anger without communicating it aggressively? So if I have Sia here and she has made me really mad, I should be able to regulate my anger, but I should be able to let Sia know how I am emotionally feeling, and not simply swallow that in, and it will cause me a lot of problems. And she will not know. She will not know that she has hurt me, she has made me angry, and she will continue to do things in the future that will continue making me angry until such a point when we can't even have a meaningful relationship. So I am tying in my emotional intelligence by realizing I am angry. And I'm realizing I am angry, but I am also realizing I need to regulate how I express that anger. And I am also realizing that I am not going to be aggressive such that she sees all my anger. I'm going to be assertive enough to communicate my anger to her that she understands. And when she understands, she will not repeat that. And then we will have a better relationship in the future. So that's how I look at the whole issue. That in the assertiveness, you are going to be able to take time to express yourself, but express yourself when you have regulated and you have controlled your emotions in such a way that people do not take advantage of your emotional state and people do not abuse your emotional aspect because it can cause you to be abused. And you need to be able to say that despite the fact that I am kind and I'm generous, I'm not going to let everybody bulldoze me and talk to me about that. I am going to be able to tell them, I'm so grateful that you've called me to help you out in such and such an occasion. I will be able to help you, and this is the extent of my help that I will give you. I am being assertive, but I am not being submissive that whatever they say, I accept and all that. Well, Sia, I want to pause here, stop here for now, and see whether there are people who have issues or questions or comments that you have, and then we can probably talk a little bit about them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prof. So, my takeaway from this is that emotional intelligence is the ability to say, I do not have the emotional capacity to have this conversation right now. Or I do, even whether you at that moment, what you are feeling is a negative emotion or a positive emotion, you can say, I am too happy to be making promises at this moment. Allow me to calm down and then we can talk. Or I am too upset or too frustrated to talk to you at this moment. Give me a moment to rest a bit or we'll take a walk or something, then we can talk. So, and I think that's something that we all need to learn. Another thing, maybe you can answer this one later, is that a lot of people, when they meet an assertive person, they immediately assume that you are aggressive. The minute you can stand your boundaries and you can express yourself very well, people have a tendency of receiving you as non-compliant and an aggressive person. And this is something that I've, a challenge with, because people that don't know me, when they first see me, talking and setting my boundaries, they have that thing of, you so aggressive. And I'd be like, no, I'm not. I'm just, stating clearly who I am and what I'm about. But maybe later you can answer to that. Like, how do you, as a person who's assertive, how do you protect yourself? Or how do you help people to receive you better than just an aggressive person? How do you help people perceive you better? Okay, there's two questions that I've got so far. One is, how does negative emotions affect our immune system? That's one question. Maybe you want to answer that, and then we ask the second one.
Okay, thank you very much. I have loved what you have been talking about, especially about assertiveness. It goes also with personality. Some personalities come off, when you deal with the cholerics, they come off very strong. And again, yes, I could tell, Sia. They come off very strong-willed, and you have also issues that deal with gender. Now, I want to be very mindful of the fact that within the African cultural settings, we have issues with gender, whereby we have gender roles and gender expectations, and so people tend to have this view and feeling that the feminine gender is supposed to be more submissive, more compliant, and that kind of thing. And so it creates a problem when they find a young lady who has been brought up to stand by her boundaries, to be able to express herself and to defend her rights, because that's all things that come in within assertiveness. Now, it is coupled with an issue that if she has a personality, or he has a personality that is also kind of like a strong personality, again, people will perceive, again, the problem comes back to perception and interpretation of what is happening. So that is an issue that I found. Now, within my area of especially social psychology, I have found out that there are some ethnic groupings of people that are also ethnically a little bit more aggressive than others. And so you have also coming in. And then you have also issues of upbringing. How was the person brought up, their upbringing? And it also has issues to deal with the kind of family structure, because if you're a young lady and you grew up with boys and their siblings are mostly boys, you grew up more aggressive because you had to fight for your rights among the boys than the one who was only with girls. Again, it also looks, you look at issues of the birth rank. Again, if you are a young lady and you are the firstborn in a family of several kids, you have to have grown up to be a surrogate parent in a way. And so your aggressiveness and getting things done can be a little bit overbearing. So this is where the whole issue is, that my perception of a person, like when I look at you, I need to take into consideration all these particular factors to be able to perceive you correctly, that she is not being aggressive and non-compliant and an impossible workmate, but she is this way because she's that. So my emotional intelligence comes in to help me to understand that I am being judgmental of her and I'm not being realistic of her, because I don't know enough about her to make a judgment call that this is what she is. But as I tell my students at the university, I usually tell my students that my biggest challenge with people is that the majority of people don't think, and they don't take time to think deeply. Because from what I've said, if you look at all those dimensions, then you'll be able to understand why this particular person is expressing themselves the way they're expressing. And then you'll say that they have a right to be assertive. Now, let me give you an example. If a young lady, I'm sorry that I'm sounding like I'm hitting on one side, but if a young lady was traumatized or sexually abused, and she comes off and she's communicating to another man and he's coming on so strongly to her, and she reacts with her background, with her history to him, he will not be able to understand why she needs to be that assertive. But you need to understand all these things and put them into consideration. Why is this person being this way? So I don't know whether I have helped you. That is a wide process that requires you to be very sober-minded when you are trying to understand emotions in others. When I deal with people and they come off like they're very angry and all that, I go back to reflecting and I say to myself, Sam, you don't know what Sia has gone through. You don't know her background. So don't be judgmental. Don't get angry. Take time to understand what she's going through. By and by, you will probably get to know. So don't react angrily to her because you don't know what her history is, what she's gone through, who she is as a person, and her personality, and all that. That helps me not to react with emotions to emotions that to me. And that's how I am able to regulate myself and regulate the emotions in myself and all that kind of thing. If it's a young lady and there's a young man, just think of that he probably has a crush on you. So he's coming on to social be on you. You're a beautiful young lady. He has a crush on you. He doesn't know how to also deal with it. So also don't react to a crush with a crush. Regulate yourself. So that was the first question that I think I answered. The second was what? Remind me. I think
how do you how do negative emotions affect our immune system? You have answered me very well, by the way. Thank you so much.
Yes, the negative emotions affect our immune system in a way that is very, very interesting. The mind is a very powerful resource. And the mind, when you see the correlation between illnesses and the mind, is very, very closely related. And you have all these good feel hormones that are produced when you have good feelings and good emotions in you. And you have all these negative hormones that are produced within you that cause the body to go on to what we call the 3 or the 4 F's.
The freeze. Here on Google Meet. Could you kindly, I don't know what you've done.
I did not change anything. I'm not sure what's happening. I still hear Prof the same way I was hearing him before.
Yeah, but as on Google Meet, the volume has just gone low.
Okay, and let me ask Prof to say something, and then we try to listen again. Prof?
Okay, hello? Hello?
So I don't know what has happened.
Hello?
Can you hear us now?
Can you hear me?
I don't know about others. What do others think? Grace, Chuma, what do you think? Is the volume okay? Because for me, it's low.
Okay. You are getting me?
Yes. Okay. I think Darius, the issue is with you.
Grace, you colleagues, could you kindly speak up so that we know whether the volume is okay?
Okay, hello.
It's fine.
Okay, please proceed. Proceed.
Okay, we can proceed, Prof.
Okay, what I was saying is that when you go into either the freeze or the flight or the fight mechanism, you're going to see there's a very big correlation with all these, we call them neurotransmitters that are produced within our brain. And much of what we go through, the brain also looks at it and perceives it. When there's a threat, there's a perceived threat, the brain mobilizes, let me call them, mobilizes what will come off to fight out this particular situation that is coming. So that's why when you are in extended situations of negative emotions that cause you a lot of stress and distress, the body is going to go through a lot. It will expend a lot to try to deal with the negativity that it has been produced. So the muscles and the tissues and the cells will go into a lot of distress mode, and you'll have a lot of tension. It's like if I was to take you through an exercise, we don't have time right now, but I'll take you through an exercise of high stressful mode, and I made you to clench your fist, to bite your teeth, and make your face really hard. If you could do that for just even 10 to 15 seconds, and you clench and you make sure that your whole body is tensed up, you'll get even a headache, and you'll get all sorts of issues happening to you. And so because you're going through this negative emotion that is affecting you, the body is being forced to enter into a very unrealistic mode. And to come back, it expends a lot of energy and all that. That's why you see that your immunity to get you back to normal gets affected. It is lowered, and then you have subsequent illnesses that come in, migraine headaches, you have ulcers, and so on and so forth. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. That makes a lot of sense. One more question is, how can we interpret emotions of others? Maybe now this is the question. Yeah, my question earlier was the question of the one who's expressing emotions, but the one who's receiving my emotions. How must we interpret the emotions of others?
Like I have said, it is quite a journey. it's a journey that you have to start walking by becoming intentional and becoming sensitive. A lot of people are not sensitive. A lot of people are not intentional in trying to understand what other people are going through. Sensitivity and intentionality is one very good thing. Of course, for us, we have the benefit of the psychology, as I mentioned, that I am able to take a little bit of time. The wording that we use is to become an active listener. That when I look at you, Shia, when I look at your facial expressions, when I look at your body language, when I look at the emotions in your eyes, when I listen to the emotions in your voice and how you are actually coming off, it will help me a great deal to tell the kind of emotions you're going through. If you're really angry and I look you in the eyes, they'll be sparking anger. Even when you've not said anything, I can see, for example, the vessels here throbbing. I can see you clenching your teeth. So there are some, we call them telltale signs of the body of the other person that show you this person is in a highly emotionally agitated state, and you can see the kind of emotion they are dealing with. And so be intentional that you pay attention to the little details. But I've found out that one of the problems, we don't read well emotions in others, is because we ourselves are also very emotional at that moment. And when we are being emotional, we become less rational to be able to interpret and perceive emotions in others very well. So that is this is a process that you need to take time to start watching people, to start being observant, and to be intentional to understand, listen to their voice, listen to their body language, how it is presenting itself, and you'll be able to get a lot more help in understanding emotions in others.
Thank you, Prof. If I may, I wanted to add that maybe for us to correctly interpret the emotions of others, we must approach others with no judgment. No judgment, no preconceived ideas of who they are or what they are going through, so that we can hear them from the point they are at. When you were explaining to us earlier about that there are ethnic groups that are perceived to be more aggressive than others. For an example, I am Xhosa. Xhosas are known to be very much loud and aggressive and all that, and most of us are. So a lot of people come to me already preconceived that she's Xhosa, she's a feminist, she's aggressive. That's the conclusion. Even before they've gotten to know me or gotten to understand what I'm about. Even when I'm not being aggressive, when I'm just myself, people come already having preconceived ideas that this is who she is. Therefore, whatever she's going to say will be based on who we think she is, So maybe for us to correctly interpret and understand other people, we must remove ourselves from the preconceived ideas or whatever judgments or prejudices we may be having against them. Okay, there's a question here on Google Meet again. There are people who need alone time to process their minor anxieties or low mood. Yet the people close to them, like their partners, may want them to talk during such times. What could be the advice? Should such people try hard to talk to each other at the time when they feel low for the sake of their partners, or should they be allowed to have their quiet time alone to deal with their low mood and then come back when they are fine?
That's a very interesting question that begs for that person to actually get a counseling session. If you're having your partner and your partner is in a moment when they are in low mood, it is imperative that you become more understanding. I think one of the issues that if I recognize that Shia is in a low mood right now, I should be more understanding of her. It takes me back to love languages, which is not what we are presenting today, but maybe at that time we'll have time to look at that. If I understand that she's in low mood, and I notice that her low mood has affected her, and I know her from experience, how she communicates or does not communicate in low mood. I should be the one to be more sensitive and more understanding and ask myself, what does she need of me mostly now? And can I put my particular need in the moment at a back burner? I needed this from her, but I recognize, or I needed this from him. Let me be more sensitive. I needed this from him, but I recognize he is in an angry mood right now, or he is in a low mood, and when he is in a low mood, he takes time and he does not communicate and all that. If I force him to talk and communicate, I am increasing his anxiety. And because you mentioned something, anxiety there, and I'm not helping us in that relationship, I'm not helping us at all. But I want to know what she needs most. Maybe all she needs me to do is to be with her quiet in her quiet low mode. And so I will come and sit down with her on the couch or on the sit in the sitting room, and I just I drop my hand over her shoulder, and I probably put on some soft music, and I don't increase her anxiety by asking her to talk. I am there with her in the emotion, and I'm providing her the emotional bonding which she needs in her low mode. I am not abandoning her. In her low mode, she needs to feel me that I am there for her without increasing the anxiety. So I may put my hand over her shoulder, I may pull her and put her head on my chest, I may tell her, put your feet on my lap, and I give her a foot rub. I am not communicating, I'm not saying anything, and I'm communicating that because of my higher emotional intelligence, I have understood that what she's going through is affecting her so badly, but again, she needs me to be there for her and to show her that I care without causing her more anxiety and without increasing all the talk. So yes, I don't know whether that can be helpful.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you so much. Okay, the last question, if we can tackle it in 3 minutes. Ambition is one of the advice people get in order to succeed. How can one handle ambition in order to avoid its negative emotional aspect?
I didn't get that one. What exactly did you say that they want advice from? What?
Ambition. Okay, we usually tell people to be more ambitious for them to succeed, but ambition has its own negative emotional aspects. So how do we handle ambition and protect ourselves from the negative aspect of it?
Okay, again, that is now a very interesting issue. Ambition is good. It's very good, but it can cause a lot of distress and a lot of that. And I think my biggest challenge with people when they talk of ambition is being unrealistic. It's okay to be ambitious. It's okay to have ambition, but I want to kind of like give guidance here that be realistic. Be realistic about your ambition. Be realistic about the expectations that you are having, and be realistic about whether you have what it takes to be what you want to be. A lot of people try to tell us that be more ambitious, and we have a lot of people who have suffered because of that, and people are pushing them to be what they can't actually be. Acknowledgement and realization that while I am being ambitious, this is how far I can go, and I can't reach this much at this particular time. I need to increase my skill set. I need to increase my knowledge base. I need to change my attitudes, my ways of doing things. I need to get help to move from here to here. Will put my ambition in a more realistic perspective and reduce more on the frustration that come that I am here and I'm expected to perform at this level. I don't know whether that helps.
That helps a lot. Thank you so much, Prof. We are literally left with 2-3 minutes. I don't know if you have any closing words that you want to share with us, and then we can call it a night.
Thank you very much for allowing me to be part of you and for sharing this with you. I want to just say that all of us can improve on our personalities, and all of us can get help with issues that we are carrying on from our background that affects our perceptions and our interpretations of other people and other emotions. All of us can improve how we communicate with other people by looking at the emotional aspects. That if I'm assertive, let me regulate the negative or positive emotions with me, that I come off and I am understood, and I am not communicating just with emotions, but I'm communicating that people are able to understand me. So yes, even when I come from an ethnic background that is very, very aggressive, my understanding of who we are and who I am can help me to regulate that, such that when I talk, I control the emotional aspects of how I express myself, such that I am better understood and better perceived. So that is true. But I want to ask you that be a little bit more sensitive when you're dealing with people. Take more time. At places of work, you'll succeed a lot if you can read your bosses very well and read their emotions very well, because you will even be able to know the right timing of what to express and how to express it, how to package what you want to package in such a way that it comes off and is understood as the way you intended it to be understood. And so I want to thank you, all of you who have asked questions, who have hosted me here, and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We have reached the end of our session for tonight. We hope that it has been valuable and informative, and that it's going to make your lives better. Keep on sharing, the videos, the links, and all that to reach as many people as we can. Thank you so much. Have a lovely good night.
Maybe just to
Thank
ask
you.
for next week's presentation.
Yes.
We're having a presentation on trauma and how to deal with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Darius. Yes, and a slight change to next week. We are having the presentation on Wednesday instead of Thursday. Look out for the poster that will be shared very soon. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you.